let us know few basic Agile terminology and how important they are in Agile development. These are the few Agile terminology used across Agile development projects or Agile development methodology, which are familiar and widely followed in current software development landscape. This is a walkthrough of high-level overview to have some fair amount of understanding about these terms and their concept. You already might have come across few of these terms discussed here. Here, if you notice, what is in the left side is the category or broader base of these terms fall into. These are developmental models, Agile frameworks, Agile or Scrum roles, the hierarchy of developmental items, Agile teams, and finally the requirement repositories. Under each category, the related terms those fall under. First of all, look into the development models. These are few development models like waterfall, incremental, iterative, agile and prototype, etc. Waterfall is one of the oldest SDLC model used to be widely followed in the software development or even in any project development. The project execution is divided into separate phases in this model, and these development phases are executed in a sequential manner. The outcome of a phase is going to be the input to the subsequent phase. The complete requirements of the project are planned only at the requirements gathering phase. Once they are defined, then developmental team confined to work only those requirements and their scope till end of the project. The project is executed in a controlled fashion where the project manager fully controls the project execution and the development teams. This model is suitable when project scope can be defined well at the beginning and it will not going to be deviated at going forward further. Incremental delivery is when the team is able to know about small parts of the business or the development and able to deliver as a small incremental work. The functionalities of the product or application service are built gradual or step-by-step process. The incremental development is when each successive version of the product is usable and each one is built upon the previous version. Iteration means doing something repeatedly, and iteration allowing for repeating of all software developmental activities again and again in each iteration or developmental cycle. We can apply this approach in complex design process because we rarely achieve the intended goal in the first attempt itself. So we proceed in incremental basis. Iterative model is useful when the requirements of the project undergo a frequent changes. Agile is the most commonly used methodology in current product or software applications development scenarios because it is adaptive in approach and the development is done in a small incremental cycles. Here the adaptive is an ability to quickly respond to the user or customer changes and implementing the necessary changes at any point of time. Due to adaptive and incremental approach, the Agile methods and frameworks are most commonly used in the current project or product development. The lack of adaptiveness is what the limitation of the earlier developmental models like waterfall, etc. Agile projects are both incremental and iterative. These are the various developmental models. Those are being used for quite some time. There are other various developmental models including like P-process, prototype development, etc. Next one is various frameworks widely used at Agile project developments. The frameworks like Scrum, XP, Kanban, FDD, etc. Let us see the Scrum first. Scrum works in definitive fixed development timeframes with certain roles and events, and also with definitive scope of the incremental work that is to be delivered. Scrum is most widely used framework based on its relevance and its flexibility. It has pretty much all elements needed for product or project development. It has also well-defined developmental roles, activities, the artifact. The artifacts in terms of project role definitions, developmental events, and scope and schedule definitions, etc. The developmental principles are pretty much prescribed well in Scrum. It is the reason for its wide usage. Frequently, Agile and Scrum are used in a sense of interchangeably. But Agile is not Scrum, it is much beyond. Scrum is just one of the Agile framework. Next one is Kanban. Kanban is to manage and improve the flow of work, the flow of knowledge work, and also allows the team to drive for an evolutionary change. Kanban is primarily useful for working on service request sort of project. Here the project work items could be in one of the stages like ready to work, in progress, and finally done. The work items are in ready to work state or status at the beginning. Once the team pulls the high priority items to work, they are moved to in progress state and known as done once after the task is completed successfully. All those successful items are moved out and the reworks are passed through the same cycle. It is easy and transparent way to resolve the service request when resolving small work items, etc. XP is an agile software development framework that aims to produce high quality software. XP stands for extreme programming. This is useful when only the coding or developing code is on high priority. The code development through continuous integration, continuous testing, and the continuous building mode. In this, a pair of programmers work on the same task or code by complementing each other, which may produce a better code. The extreme programming focus on customer satisfaction through constant development. Like in the Scrum, similar short development cycles or the sprints are also present in this framework. FDD stands for features-driven development, where the products are developed in small incremental features. First, this is built up together with a list of features. The development and design plans implemented for each of these features. FDD works on combination of more traditional planning along with the agile build-up practices. These are the few frameworks frequently used across. There are quite other frameworks like Crystal, DSDM, Dynamic System Development Method, etc. Now let us see Agile or Scrum roles. In Agile, the project roles are limited. The product owner, Scrum Master, and the team. Product owner is the person who manages all from the requirements front. He is the one responsible and also the owner of the product backlog, which is nothing but the repository of all requirements of the product. He is one who decides what feature should be in the product and what feature should be out of this product. He is also the one who prioritizes all the requirements. Product owner is the one-man contact for all requirements related questions the team has. With support of the team, he participates in the product requirements and the grooming activities. The next is Scrum Master. Scrum Master is like servant leadership in Scrum development. He is like a servant leader sort of role. Primarily collaborates the Agile team. He collaborates the Scrum team on a daily basis to understand what is the precise task that each one is working for the day. He also works on if the team has any project issues and collaborate to resolve them. In the Scrum, the roles related to collaborating day-to-day developmental activities and the activities for framing the product features and requirements. Both are driven separately through by Scrum Master and the product owner. And coming to the team, it is a collaborative team with varied skill set, like the team with the developers, testers, QA, designers, including the requirement specialists and business developers, etc. All are part of the cross-functional team. Agile team is a small in number, around 6 to 9 members at max. They work as a commando, not like big battalion setup. They all work collaboratively at all stages, preferably at same work locations. Ideally, the Agile team members are considered to be matured, self-organizing, technically competent, and they work in collaboration with other team members. The next one is hierarchy of requirement items and how these requirements are understood from abstract to detail level. These are like theme, epic, user story, and task. All these put together to convert the broader organizational objectives into developmental teams' day-to-day activities. Themes are like organization level roadmap, something like in what area of focus they want to develop either products or systems or frameworks, etc. The portfolio of products or projects are initiated based on the potential business needs or the opportunities of the market. These are very high level and organization level ideas. Epics are identified and derived out of these themes. Each epic possesses certain set of features of a product or application. These are high level requirements of a product or project level. Epics are further broken down into multiple user stories. Epic is basically a group of interrelated or functionally bound user stories. Each of these user stories serves certain functionality in terms of keeping end user in reference. User stories are simple functional statements written in perspective of end user. User stories are framed so that these can be developed within a span of 1 or 2 development cycles and also serve certain business function and also serve certain business need of an end user and with certain acceptance criteria. This is where the Agile works so flexible, simple and compelling. And finally, the task. User stories are again broken into various categories of tasks to work on day-to-day basis. Developing the user interface screens, designing, coding, preparing the test plan, developing the database part are known as a task, to name a few. Now let us see Agile Teams. Agile Teams are cross-functional and self-organizing. Cross-functional means it is a complementary team of different skill set. Cross-functional team is a group of developers, testers, QA, quality assurance, the business development people, and the requirement specialist, etc. They all work collectively at all the phases. Unlike the traditional development model where a group of designers work on the design part, then it is the work of code developers later involved by the testing team, which works in a phase-driven approach where a certain phase of activity predominates, which is one directional, which is the main limitation in the traditional sequential model of approach. The Agile team has complementary skills such that they will not go outside for technical reasons if they need anything. Self-organizing means the team will not limit themselves to work like command and control. They assign the work themselves on the priority basis, and also they act autonomously towards achieving the goal with little supervision. Here the autonomous in the sense not taking the decisions independently, but they do not depend outside to achieve the work. Agile teams are not away from the discipline. In fact, they are highly disciplined and self-organized. Next we see requirement repositories like product backlog and sprint backlog. Here the product backlog is the repository of requirements for the whole product wise or the application wise. Product backlog is the ordered list of requirements for the entire project. It is a live repository and keep on updated until the product is rolled out. The product has only one product backlog. The product owner is the one who is responsible to add, update and prioritize and also to manage the items in the product backlog. He is the owner of that. Along with the help of the team, he gets the details and also do the grooming of backlog items. The product owner is the final authority to insert, update or delete or any modifications of the requirement items from the product backlog. The product backlog is actually a combination of different items at different level and different status. Different levels like epic, user story, task and different states like some of them are well groomed and with all details and some of them are partially groomed and few of them yet to groom, etc. The next one is the sprint backlog. Sprint backlog is a subset of product backlog where the team will select the items from the product backlog ready to work state and keep them in sprint backlog to work those in a current development cycle. Only when the requirement items, those are verified and groomed, are moved to the sprint backlog. Here the verified in the sense they might have passed through all the checklists like invest, which is nothing but a sort of checklist which is used to groom, estimate, prioritize the user stories and make them ready to work state. The sprint backlog is nothing but the goal of that sprint. It is a subset of product backlog. Only the items which are part of the sprint backlog are to be worked in that particular sprint. These are some of the items and let's continue few other items in the next part of the lecture.